Edgar's leans in his eyes like fire. Nemo's got the mic dressed in satire. Andrew in the booth, spinning the wheel. Cameras rolling, it's all surreal. Who's the guest today? Who's the guest today? Record spinning, always winning. Right, 'cause Nemo questions pinning. Andrew called the shot, don't miss the frame. Hobby Hooligan, what's your name?
Oh, wrong chair. Hey, Hobby Hooligans. Welcome to Ashtabula Hobby Talk. I am Nemo, president of Amigos Radio Club, Ashtabula, and amateur radio enthusiast. And we're going to bring Andrew over here. We're a little short-handed tonight. Mike has had a prior engagement last minute, so he's not with us this evening, but that's okay. We'll, oh, there he goes. Cross cameras and everything. Man. All right.
We good?
Oh, you got to, yep, yeah,
Looks
you got to back up over that way a little more, though. Yeah, you got to go that way.
Oh, wait, yeah, he moved the chair, didn't he?
Yeah, you're good. All right, everybody who's watching, I see a couple people watching. Come on into the chat, and we're going to hang out and talk tonight.
Yeah.
About a whole bunch of stuff. There we go. So we've had, we've got our hobby, amateur radio. So that's pretty cool. We're going to talk about that a little bit. We did a thing.
We did a thing. We've done many things.
Yeah.
What thing are you talking about?
The thing we did over this past weekend was we brought a bunch of people in the club.
Yes, we did.
Crash coursed them in amateur radio, and I'll just say we crash coursed them. Because,
emphasis on the crash a little bit, unfortunately.
But I think we did okay as far as our first class goes. There's a bunch of folks out there that are inspired now, to say the least. I think there were two people who didn't test, and I think at least one of those, if not both of those people, probably would have jumped, made that hurdle and gotten their technician ticket. Yeah. But we did have, his name was Liam, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Liam
I remember his paperwork
and
actually.
Noah, both passed their test, so they're waiting on their FCC license.
Ray said something. Do they have them already?
I don't know that they have them already. I haven't seen anything with call signs.
I think the paperwork on our end was done over the weekend, so it's just the FCC they're waiting on.
Right. I believe, because my understanding is Ray took care of all that, and it was all set up and ready to go.
Yeah.
And Monday morning, it was getting processed. So, it's all up to the FCC now, so we'll see how fast that takes them. But I've seen it, I don't know. Well, mine took 6 weeks.
Yeah, that was snail mail, right?
But mine also went through snail mail. So, but they did. I know he does it all digitally. He just scans it all in and sends it.
Yeah, and as far as I know, there were no errors or corrections or anything that was needed done, and that's why it was processed immediately. So
sweet.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to mention his name, but there was a 13-year-old kid that comes up that was there with his mom and his older brother.
That was cool.
And they all took the test together, and he is. I know he's anxious to see. To get the test done. He didn't quite make it.
I could feel the nerves on that poor kid.
Poor kid. Yeah. He tested twice that day, and he lost it by one or two.
One or two questions. That's why we offered him a retest, and he wasn't quite there. And to be honest, I agree with what Ray said. He would have passed it if he wasn't so nervous. But,
yeah, I think so too. I think so too.
It happens.
But it was great. I mean, it was good. I know I walked away from that with sort of a feeling of we failed these people, but then I had to remind myself, and Ray actually said it best. I had to remind myself, which is the same thing I said in the class. Yeah, I'm like, you guys did not fail, you tried, and trying means that you didn't fail, because you only fail if you don't try.
Absolutely.
And it's okay to not succeed at doing something, but if you don't try, you're not going to succeed.
And to be honest with you, I feel like that also applies to us providing the classes, because just like everything else we've done in our club, we're not the first ones to do it, obviously, but for most things that we've done in our club, most big things like that, nobody else in our club has ever had any experience doing it.
Yeah, and so it really, and when I say crash course, we did it. I mean, it was 3 days, but the first day was only 2.5 hours.
Yeah, and I wasn't there. I understand there were some glazed eyes that day.
Yeah, and we went through some of the hardest material, and and we didn't go as long as we could because we also had to do introduction stuff
Yeah.
too. So really, we're kind of rounding it off, and we're saying we did. So even though we had 3 days,
Right.
we really probably gave them 6 or 7 hours of total class time. We're trying to teach you something.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was rattling off the questions and answers because we are teaching to the test.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. Obviously, people want answers to, hey, we got somebody in there. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining the chat, guys. We got a couple folks in the chat. So, did you hear the one about the amateur radio pilot moving on a traffic control comms? Yes.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, we did, actually, as a matter of fact. The what I understand what that is, and I could be wrong, there was a guy who was using his Bofang as a micro repeater type situation.
Yeah.
And he was broadcasting the EMS mark system.
Yep.
And that was not cool.
You don't do that. The way I like to think about it is, so Mark's radios, right? Have you ever seen one? Like,
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
one that Matt has.
Yeah,
in these
Matt,
meetings?
we've got plenty of firefighters that are
Yeah.
in the amateur radio field.
Those are really nice, and when I say nice, they're nice and they're also very expensive. When the expense of the radio goes up for the service, that's how much you shouldn't mess with it. Aviation radios, marine radios, fire and EMS radios, very, very, very expensive.
Marine radios are cool. I like the idea of marine radios, but yeah, I definitely saw that. And I also saw that the FCC's been handing out some fines to some CB guys lately too.
Yeah, I won't comment on whether or not I think that's like a long time coming thing, but I like to see the rules enforced equally.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, there's been some guys that were doing intentional one-way traffic on the 11-meter bands.
Yeah.
And that's that some of those guys are getting picked up.
Yeah.
Obviously, ham radios got their problems, but we don't have that. I mean,
for the most part.
Here's my thoughts on some of that though. So I know you can get
Hey Joe. Joe's in the chat.
Oh, hey Joe, how you? Good to see you there, man. I know you can get FM low watt transmitter license for broadcast.
That's like an experimental low wattage one. I think
It
may have changed recently, but I know what you're
it's
talking
like
about.
you're only allowed to put like 20 watts out or something like that. I haven't looked into it in a while because I think only like they only give it to schools and
Yeah, it has to be like official organizations for like experimentation and stuff.
yeah. But you are allowed to just transmit, and I'm not sure what the regulations are with like the commercial things. I think you're not allowed to do commercial and all that stuff.
Copyright and stuff still applies, just like on TV.
Yeah. So, and I get that. I and people are going to hate me for this, but I think I've been saying since I got into ham radio that the ham bands need to be broken up a little bit, and some of the licensing and education needs to change. What I, and I'll agree with everybody that says parks on the air, contesting, those things are kind of saving ham radio to some extent. I think a little more emphasis from like the NASA groups and that kind of stuff on the satellite side would help.
Oh man, if you want to dive into that, I could talk about that.
We will. We probably will. We
There's
probably will.
Not a lot of stuff, and I wish there was a lot more for the US.
But I think there needs to be something for the guys that want to do that without getting a commercial FM license.
Okay.
And I think amateur radio could progress to a point where they provide that if they're willing to. And see, this is why I criticize places like the ARRL, because they're not willing to entertain those ideas.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's hobby. Well, yeah, it is hobby, but there are people who want to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just like we've got, people on YouTube that do it and things along those lines.
So you mean you want something that's in between a commercial call for price license and amateur radio? Like something that the amateur radio license provides, or would that be a different license?
It could be an intermediate license. That would be okay too. I think it'd be better as especially as the amateur radio. I mean, especially as amateur radio is going more operator oriented rather than technical oriented.
Yeah.
Um,
Unfortunately, we are appliance operators
right.
anymore.
So I mean, I think there's some room there for that, but I don't know. That's just my thought. Just like I think we should, break up the bands a little more and say, okay, so, I agree with the tech general extra band classifications privileges that
Right.
we do. I think that's good. I think, but just like we do with CW or digital modes, where they kind of get their own little section.
Right.
I think that
You want one for contesting? Is
I
that
think
what you're
there should
kinda
be a
talking about?
section for contesting specifically.
So you want an updated this
An
would be
updated
this would be
band
like
plan.
a gentleman's rule sort of thing, like the band plans mostly are.
Well,
Like
I think the ARRL
Yeah.
needs to,
Mhm.
and I'd like to see them do this
Mhm.
without people having to become more members. But
Right.
because that would prove to the amateur radio community that they're out there doing something, in my opinion.
Right.
But I would like to see them actually lobbying for more bandwidth space.
Mhm.
I think if the bandwidth isn't being used, it needs to automatically be applied to amateur radio. And I think that the band plan needs to be updated
Mhm.
to accommodate those things.
Like accommodate modern operating, like contesting and other
Correct.
stuff like that. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
So obviously we want people who have nets to be able to run their nets.
Yeah.
And I can't count how many times, because I like doing contesting.
Right.
I like doing nets. Those are my two favorite things to do in amateur radio.
Right.
And they do clash.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They do clash. There's, you get on there during a weekend, and now the rag chew guys are out the window because they're getting overrun by the contesting guys.
Shoot, think about all the times that we've been out doing winter, or not, well, just any field day, winter or not, and there's some guy doing his net, and they forget, because a lot of guys do, today's field day, and suddenly, oh, I spin my VFO and there's no spaces anywhere, especially when the conditions are good. It's hard though, because pretty much any band I can think of. So let's take 40 for instance, because that's one I can remember off the top of my head.
Right.
So below 40, there's usually like military what's it called? Military RTTY and stuff, and
Correct.
there's radar around there as well. Really fun to listen to, actually. It sounds really weird. And then above that, there's shortwave. And unfortunately, you're going to be hard pressed to move any of the shortwave stuff, because that's what makes the FCC money, right?
Sure.
But
Sure.
I
we just had all those bands open up,
Mhm.
and some of them went to FRS.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
And then
And I'm not knocking that,
no, yeah, I get it.
but we should also, some of that should have went to us too,
Yeah,
and it did. And now we got some more 30 meter, right? Isn't that what came out of that?
I
We got
think
some
so.
more 30 meter.
I'd have to check that. I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. Maybe somebody can correct me on that. Ham radio people need to do something with the Elon Starlink stuff.
If
And
you want me to talk about satellite stuff, I can.
we actually can do our own Elon Starlink stuff. That's what part of being ham radio operator is. We really could, if we wanted to, we could team up with the Geauga Club and the Ashtabula County Amateur Radio Clubs, and
Let's just say like the entire county of radio clubs, yeah.
if northeastern Ohio, if
Yeah.
Cuyahoga, Geauga, Trumbull, Mahoning,
Yeah.
Ashtabula got together, we could launch our own satellite.
Oh yeah,
We could have our own satellite. In fact, actually, probably one of the very first, I think it's one of the very first AI satellites launched into space
Mhm.
is an amateur radio beacon satellite.
Yeah.
To do that. So, as far as space repeaters go, though,
You want me to-
we do have the ISS,
yeah.
and there is talk about putting a repeater on the moon. So,
Yeah, that's well, actually, there wasn't a repeater. There was I believe it was a Japanese moon rover CW beacon. Would last like a year or two ago, and that unfortunately didn't last too long because it wasn't designed to last through the lunar night. And
yeah,
it froze, and it's kind of, people don't really think about it. Electronics in space and stuff, they have to have heaters and coolers. You can't
Yeah.
just pick one or the other. And when it gets to closer to absolute zero than, not. Your electronics don't tend to want to come back from that.
Right.
So
right.
that rover sitting up there probably like physically just fine, but it froze and the batteries don't function anymore.
We are looking at doing a high altitude beacon balloon maybe later on this summer.
I would love to do that.
And doing it under the club call and setting that up. So that might be something pretty cool to check out. And yeah, feel free, guys, if you're watching, to jump into the chat. And
Yep, that's what I got on my lap right now, looking at the chat.
Yeah, excellent. So, but yeah, we've got a lot going on. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Joe KE8GJL is I believe heading up the coordinating for the Ashtabula County 250.
Yep.
And the Aries group is going to be out assisting with some of that. And I think we're going to be out there with it. And I think they're going to get a good turnout from the ham radio community around here.
Yeah, that's always nice because it's like you only ever really hear about us for like disaster relief and stuff. But
right.
No, you give hams a good enough reason to show up. We crawl out of the woodwork, right? And usually that reason is anything you want because we want to help.
And I don't know whether he's done it or not yet, but I would definitely put the call out to the Gears guys or the guys down in Struthers. Those guys down in Struthers, I can't remember their club name off the top of my head, but they're always popping us a note. Hey, do you guys need help with stuff up there?
Yeah.
So that might be a good thing for him to do. Yeah. So there's a lot going on. Amateur radio in Ashtabula County is strong still. I can say that.
And we're trying to do our part to make sure it stays that way or improve it a little bit, like with the testing or any of the other stuff that we've done, like the Ham Fest.
I don't know what, to be honest with you, we are planning it. I don't know what the state is really going to be this year. But we're going to put it out there. It is out there set for 725. Yep. So
we're going to be a little more like hands off with a lot of the really big stuff to try to hopefully like make something of it for ourselves because like I think we've said before, there's food trucks. We're not going to do the kitchen this year.
We have a food truck that is designated to come.
Yeah.
If we're only pulling 100, 150 people, there's
that's
no
probably
reason.
going to be just fine.
That'll be fine for one. And of course, the Amish crew is going to show up with the fresh made ice cream.
That's another
and the donuts,
vendor and food in it of themselves and
so
ice cream.
That'll be
better
good.
Have ice cream.
Yeah, they're bringing the ice cream. So we're going to be okay with as far as that goes. There is a under roof place now with the new stage built out there at Pioneer Picnic.
Weren't they doing work to that? I thought I heard you talk about that they.
Oh, so I did. I went there with my Amish boss not long ago. What was that? Last week we went there and we put. I think so. What did we do? We sealed off the back end of the stage so that they could be so that the upper level above the stage could be used for storage and people couldn't get back there.
Oh, okay.
So if you don't have the key.
So there's actually like doors on it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, and there's a place for storage that is over the stage that they can use for storage.
Oh, the rafters.
Yeah.
There's like subfloor on like.
They still got to put some subflooring in or some boards across it. Even if they just put 1x4s, it'll be fine. They're not talking about storing heavy stuff up there. Oh, yeah. They're talking about storing like all their styrofoam cups and.
I mean, all the lawn equipment stuff that usually goes in the cabin, right? I think.
No, not anymore because the cabin doesn't fit the mower that they got.
That's right.
Because they got like a 62-inch deck rider zero turn out there now, so that's why we're not out there cutting the grass every week.
I'll be honest, I don't miss doing that. I think I helped with that once, and I was like, I'm glad to be here because we said we were going to, and I helped. But when they got that mower, I was like, okay, let's do something else that's a little bit more like, communication stuff. We like helping with that.
Yeah. I mean, the plan is still to do this year what we normally have been doing for them for last year, which was we help out with the auction.
Yep.
So we're obviously looking
like that.
Yeah. Oh. Don't get called away from work. Well, you know what you do? I didn't get the call. I told you I was busy.
Yeah, honestly.
That's what you do. But so we're going to do the auction. We are also, because it's 136 years, I believe, at this point that festival has been going on. So we're gonna set up a special event station.
I remember that. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I don't think I would have.
I do not have the call sign for that yet, but we are gonna set it up. So and it's the same weekend as Ohio QSO party.
Oh man,
So we'll get a lot of contacts.
I'm really looking forward to that.
So
and we get to use the new club
we
radios.
get to use all the new club radios.
Oh.
I don't know how many stations we should set up, but I think if we just set up one,
Yeah,
it'll be fine.
like if we had like 10 people coming out there, maybe we'll throw the other one up. But like
I'll bring it back up in case.
Yeah.
But I think just the steel wire that we normally use for it.
I mean
and
that's
then
pretty much all we
main
have room
radio.
for.
Yeah.
Unless we wanted to put the radio somewhere else, like in its own like dedicated spot. But I think that wire should be fine. 20, 40, 15, 10.
Well, we did throw around the idea last year
Mhm.
of setting up 2 spots.
Oh yeah, I remember that actually.
And we still could do that, but we haven't talked about that yet this year.
Mhm.
So we'll see what happens.
I doubt we'll remember this, but I'm just gonna say it now for posterity. We might want to try the DX Commander because that won't take up a lot of space, like footprint wise.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, and that would be a lot better for an event station actually.
Couldn't we mount that to the top of the 10 by 20?
You wouldn't want to elevate the radials; it messes with the
Okay.
everything. But yeah, like that would fit in like the footprint behind our tent. It would just the radials would go out a little bit farther, but it's a wire in the grass, and if you trip over it, it's not secured. It's just laying there.
Right.
So, but yeah, there's just something to think about.
That's something to think about. Also, that sheet mesh blanket thing.
I haven't seen that yet.
that
I don't think we
thing
ever
that,
brought that out for Winter Field Day.
Wayne uses it,
Mhm.
and he gets good results with that. And that's a vertical with just a 10 by 10 ground plane sheet on
Yeah.
it, and it's literally like a sheet of metallicized.
Like chicken wire or
It's-
like screen door mesh.
No, it's like it looks like a blanket almost, but it is
Oh,
metal.
yeah, isn't it like that copper like? I forget what it's called.
I
But
forget what it's called too. Hey, you know what? That's the thing. We can always chalk it up as we're trained amateurs. We don't have to remember everything all the time.
Yeah.
Never memorize anything you can look up.
Oh,
Hey, you got bees.
I do have bees.
I wish we could throw some pictures up for everybody.
Yeah,
but,
I have lots of. Well, I don't actually have too many pictures because it was like I got to make sure I don't ramble too much about this, but it was a little overwhelming because I went from no bees and knowing roughly when I was getting my bee package to, hey, here's some bees. Do you want them? And then, oh, by the way, I just split this massive one hive into 2 hives, and I went from no bees to 2 beehives in a day. There was a lot.
That's
to
crazy.
That. Yeah.
So you got 2 hives and you got like 4 queens, right?
Okay, so, well, I have one queen that I haven't seen, right? Because it was one big hive that we were given by a 4-H member of the local 4-H club. He was getting out of it, and oops, I paused the stream. I want to make sure I still have the chat going here. He was getting out of it, and he had 1 hive left, and this was a big hive. Like normally you see, there's a they're called deep boxes, the double high ones. Normally there's 1, maybe 2 of those, and then the rest of the small boxes on top, that's where your honey goes. Those are honey supers, right? This was a honey super on the bottom for the first level, and then 2 deep boxes, and then a honey super on top of that.
Wow.
That was a big hive. And the reason that the gentleman did it like that is he made these like double height frames that were a deep frame and then a super frame, which is actually closer to how honeybees are normally, because normally they have longer pieces of comb. Like if you ever seen them cut out of a tree, they're really long, right?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so we took them home. We got them off the back of the truck using the ATV and got them to where they were, and then the ATV wouldn't start again. My dad was real happy about that. It's just a dead battery. And we set them down, and we left them for I think a day because that was the last day of the testing. Actually, I was so tired that day, man. I came home and I absolutely fell asleep. But so we set them down and left them, and then the next day when it was warm, we noticed there was a lot of drones coming out of them, the male bees, and I don't know if it actually ended up having anything to do with it, because at first I thought, because if they're queenless for a really long time, like they can't make another queen, the regular worker bees will actually start laying eggs, but they can only lay male eggs. It's a weird thing of how bees work. So I thought maybe that was why there were so many male bees. Now I'm thinking that it was just normally that. Like, that's just how it was, because sometimes the queens, they'll lay a bunch of male eggs if they think that's the right time in the season to do bee stuff. There was no queen in there. They were really irritable, and they were audibly loud. That's an interesting thing, is like if you walk up to a beehive, like a regular bee box, and it's not super hot out, because if it's hot out, they're doing like airflow to keep it cool in the hive.
Right.
So if it's not hot out and they're loud, that can mean they don't have a queen, and they're like irritable. They're ornery, whatever you want to call it. So we went in there, and that hive hadn't actually been touched in probably like close to a year. So I wasn't sure what we were going to find. I didn't actually tell you this. There was a mouse nest in there and a bunch of mouse damage.
Oh.
Like, there were holes in some of the frames where the mouse had actually eaten the foundation of the frame and everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was another reason they were mad, because their hive smelled like mouse droppings, and there was a nest and stuff in there. So we cleaned that all out, and we were kind of like bummed about the fact that, oh, well, where are we going to get a queen? Because it's not the right time of year to get them locally, and they're real expensive to have them air-mailed, right? Well, there were actually 4 queen cells in that hive. So, still trying to figure out what happened, because there's a couple of different things that could have happened to make the queen leave or die or whatever. But basically, the bees will take eggs or young larvae, and they will put them in a special cell, and they raise them to be queens. Now, normally you would only see those if the hive is too full and they want to swarm, and then the one or multiple queens hatch, and half of the colony flies away, right? With the new queen or the old queen, sometimes if there's multiple swarms, it'll have to be a new queen, right? Because there's only one queen. So with these ones, it's it's too early in the season for them to swarm, unless they were really packed, but even then they usually don't. So my guess was the original queen was failing, because that's sometimes you'll also see queens that are old and they're failing will also start to lay a lot of male eggs, and there's a lot of drones in that colony. I don't think I ever saw that many even in my hives last year. So probably what was happening is that colony's queen was failing, and the colony superseded her, and there's 4 queen cells in there. Now, I saw an opportunity to like improve the situation, because what would have happened if I had left it alone? Let's just say all 4 of those hatch, right? Sometimes they don't. All 4 of those queens would have fought.
Right.
Sometimes they will even go as far as to sting the other ones that are still in the cells if they hatch first, right?
Okay.
And queen bees actually have normal stingers. They don't have barbed stingers. I didn't know that until somewhat recently. So on the rare occasion that you were to get stung by a queen bee, I don't really think I've ever heard that happen. They're like wasp stingers, so they can sting you multiple times.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I'll keep that in mind.
yeah, right. It's a random thing. You're never gonna see a queen bee unless you're a beekeeper. But long story short, one frame, there were 2, there were 4 queen cells total, and there was a frame with 2 and then a frame with 2. So we split them up and put one frame in one hive that I had an extra one, and then left the other one the way it was. So that was 2 days ago. And then this morning I went out and looked, and the split that we made, so the smaller one of the queen cells was open.
Oh.
And we didn't see the queen. Now, that's not really surprising, because she's not marked, right? Like normally, if it were a human, it would be like right back here behind their head.
Mm-hmm.
Normally they mark that with some paint so that you can see them, because obviously there's a lot of bees in a hive, and a queen bee is very different from a normal bee, but not that much bigger. If there's a lot of them in there, it's kind of hard to see. So she's not marked, so we could have missed her, but more than likely she was out flying around mating, because that's what they do, right? You can't just have a queen bee come out of the cell and then start laying eggs, because there would be clones, right? So they go out and they fly and they mate with all the male bees, and then the male bees die. That's the only thing they're good for. They don't actually do anything else in the hive. That's why they get kicked out in the winter. Yeah. So
wow.
So yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, right?
Very, very strict patriarchy going on.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like it kind of sucks to be a male honeybee. They only live for a few weeks too, as well.
Oh.
Yeah, but they don't have stingers. There's an interesting thing.
So they're really useless.
Yeah, no, it's like if you see a drone flying around, they're called drones. My sister loves to just grab them with her hands, because they can't sting, and they're not really they're not gonna bite you. So, but yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. Just 2 beehives, and I had to go through all of that in my head while having bees fly around me, and these are wild bees. So
if you did find that you had 2 queens in there, obviously, probably you wouldn't catch them fast enough. But
Mhm.
if you like scraped up a bunch of them, threw them in a bucket, tossed them and the queen in another hive,
Mhm.
that would work.
So, like, if you're saying if 2 of them hatch, like,
Yeah.
because there's no queens in there right now except for the one that hatched.
Right.
So
So
if
if
they
another
both
one
hatch,
hatches and you manage to
catch them before
catch
they
it
fight.
before they
Yes.
fight, you could scoop up a handful of bees and the queen and throw them in another.
Yeah. So what that would be called well, that would be called splitting as well. But basically, you can't just throw bees into nothing unless they swarm, because swarming bees have different instincts than like regular colony bees, because that they didn't want to swarm, right? They may have swarmed when the queens hatched, but also probably not because it's not the right time of year. When a bee colony actually wants to swarm, they eat a whole bunch of honey. So that way, wherever they go and they find the right spot, they can make a whole bunch of new wax immediately, right?
Okay.
And that's actually something you can use to your advantage. If you catch a swarm and you want to draw out a whole bunch of frames, put a swarm in there. A lot of people say that, and they'll draw it really fast. But if you just take regular bees and put them somewhere, it would probably work, but they'd probably, if you only took like a couple hundred, they'd probably get too cold overnight or wouldn't be able to store any food, and they'd probably starve to death. You have to put them into frames that are drawn out. And obviously we can't make the frames, so the bees have to do it themselves.
Right.
Yeah. So if you had drawn frames, yes, but it's not really the time of year to be making really small nucleus colonies. Only big colonies what you'd want to split right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it could work, but you got to follow a procedure.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's surprisingly complicated, like manually manipulating hives and queens and all this stuff.
So if you took a piece of radioactive beach glass and you put it in the hive, how long would it take for them to start mutating?
This is a joke I've made before, putting one of my little radioactive antiques in my beehive and seeing what happens. I don't have anything, the government's listening to me when I say this. I don't have anything nearly radioactive enough to do that. I just collect antiques. So
not the beach glass, but maybe like a compass or a watch.
If you got I have to be careful
What
how I
if you
say
put all
this.
of it in there?
If I
and,
put if
like,
I put everything
line
I
the
have
walls inside the beehive with everything you
Oh.
got and stuck maybe just one bee in there or 2 bees.
in there, I mean, if you're going as far as to focus the radiation, it would probably just kill the bee.
Well, I still want to.
You want
I want
superpowers?
superpowers.
You want
I want the bee superpowers.
Well, these ones are definitely aggressive enough that they would sting you, right? They're irritable right now, so if you
But
throw a
you
bunch of
gotta get 'em to
radioactive
bite
stuff
you,
in
right?
there,
Isn't that the way it works?
well,
with
bite you or
insects?
sting you, you know,
Sting
whatever.
you. I guess
whatever works.
sting would be fine too, as long as I didn't wind up with like big huge welts all
Oh,
over me.
I mean, I can't
as
guarantee that.
as
Right?
their like X gene factor thing that they're going to give me. I would actually want like flying and homing.
I mean, like our older intro, right? It said radioactive bees. That's where that joke came from. That yeah, don't put radioactive antiques in with your bees. It's just a really good way to get it covered in wax and propolis, right?
All right, so I guess it's not a good idea.
No, anything radioactive enough to do that, you wouldn't want to touch it at all.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
So-
what happens when you get me in front of a camera, man.
We're both in front of the camera and we're just talking tonight, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That we don't really have anything specific on schedule. So if anybody's all the people that are watching,
Yeah, I just looked at the chat. I don't see anything.
if you got something you want to throw out there, feel free.
Shoot, how long have we even been going for? Normally that's my job, right? I look at the timer.
Yeah, you're usually our timer guy.
There, I can't even read it.
I don't know.
Oh man.
If I do this,
It says 20
we're
minutes.
good.
Yeah. Okay.
We're good.
All right. Cool.
I just had to hit the button there to check it out. So, man, we've got some really good people banked for coming up. Our next week's show is a good one. Going to be a good one.
We haven't said, right? We're keeping that little secret right
there,
now, or
if people look at our Facebook page, there's actually like a sneak peek photo up there of our next week's show.
Cool.
It's in the editing phase right now.
Yeah.
So
got to draw some engagement some way, right? That's a good way to do it.
Yeah. And oh man, I want to say what all we've got coming on, but it's
tough to keep it secret, right?
It secret.
Yeah.
That's okay. I like to make the announcements on Monday and try to make the announcements on Monday. I don't always get there because we're trained amateurs.
We are. That is what we are. Yeah. amateur radio operators, amateur beekeepers, because, some people have been doing it for 20, 30 years, right?
Yeah. I mean, I knew a guy who was doing beekeeping, and he was doing traveling beekeeping. He would pack his bees up and go to different
Oh,
places.
now that is something, the logistics there, and also the possibility of getting bad genetics when you do that. There's a funny story here. Gentleman I know around here who actually just talked to him on the way here in the car. You know who I'm talking about. Not that I'm not saying his name in a bad way. I'm protecting his privacy. He took I believe it was either a trip or he moved out there for some time, out west. I think it was like Arizona, and his beehives. See what happens is bees like to be aggressive, right?
Mhm.
We've like if you buy like a bee package, 9 times out of 10 they're going to be really gentle. They breed for that, and they breed them to be easy to work with, right? Now my bees are somewhere on the slightly, I'll say, spicier end of that, where they've got some wild genetics in there because I don't know where they came from, right? And the guy that gave them to me doesn't either. And then you have killer bees or Africanized honeybees, and when you get those really angry genetics into your beehive, they want to requeen because the bees see that as, more defensive, more aggressive. That is better, right? Just strictly speaking, like how the bees are. He had all of his hives requeen with Africanized genetics,
Oh,
and he brought them back here. So that is something that happens, and typically those genetics don't last very long out here because you would really need like hundreds of hives to change the temperament of wild bees around here. But that was a nasty surprise, moving your beehives.
and having them just be kind of angry at you.
Oh, very angry. Yeah, because the beehive I got was only 15 minutes down the road, right?
Oh,
But don't break the chair.
no, I was just looking for the other leg rest.
Oh, so yeah, traveling beekeeping. I know about the bee inspector who travels around for the Department of Agriculture, but that's traveling like with your hives. That's not something I've heard about. So that's interesting.
So, we haven't gotten any suggestions back from the chat yet. That's
We
okay.
got 6 people watching though. I like
Yeah,
that.
come into the chat if you're watching, and we'll try and answer some questions and
I'm trying not to.
directly interact with you as best we can.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we decided we would do tonight, since we'd be a little short-handed.
Yep.
Um,
I don't want to take up all the oxygen in the room, right? Because it's easy for me to talk about my hobbies.
easy to do when working with bees. Oh, this is a question for you. Put old burlap bag in with the smoker, made a heavy hump, and they.
Oh,
You'll probably know better that.
so burlap. Yeah, that's a pretty popular like fuel for the smoker, right?
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I don't have like easy access to that, and when you buy that specifically as smoker fuel, it's really expensive.
Okay.
Like up in
So what do you need?
uh,
You need like burlap sacks. That's it.
pretty much, yeah. Like something that burns well, right? And something like you can use cardboard. Most people don't because it has dye in it, right? For the
Right.
packaging. Cardboard boxes are fine. I usually just use hay because I live on a farm, so that gives really, really thick smoke too. And I didn't smoke the big colony this morning, and that was, well, I actually had some bees chased after me. That was why. I knew what I was getting into. So
And then you got another question up here. Is there a treat that you give to the bees
yes, actually.
other than mice?
Yeah, really, right. Bees, they'll eat pretty much anything like sweet or sugary. So we actually had at the convenience store I work at, we had somebody spill some maple syrup in fall and put it outside in the trash. There were yellow jackets everywhere from that, and that's not even honeybees. Honeybees will do that too, right? But
Right.
that's just one thing. Like actually as a treat, like when you're installing a package, a lot of people say spray them down with sugar water. Because that gives them something to eat right after their long journey and keeps them from flying as much. You can also give them like as a treat to just like how you give a dog a treat. Not really, but there are things like if you feed them like in the early spring or late fall when there's not as many flowers, sugar water. There's lots of like commercial things you can buy like hive stimulant and stuff.
Jolly Ranchers.
Yeah, there was that story of the beehive near the M&M factory, and they all their waste products like the candy shells for the M&Ms.
I'm sure they
Yeah.
went crazy over those.
Yeah, and their honey was actually different colors from that.
That would be
Normally that doesn't happen, but when they're eating
awesome.
only
Red
that,
and blue honey, that
Yeah.
would be really cool.
Yeah. and mostly it shows up in the wax actually. If you feed bees sugar water, the wax that they make is actually pure white. It's really interesting. And then as soon as the dandelions came in that year, it turned bright yellow. It was really cool.
Yep, that's one of the big things. I know we talked about this a little bit in the past, but depending on the time of year, the type of honey you get is different.
Yeah, it's starkly different too. Like some of the first honey I ever got from my bees last year, it tasted nothing like store-bought honey, right? Because it was right there. It was literally weeks old.
Well, most store-bought honey isn't honey anyway.
Yeah, it's like it's processed, and when they say raw honey, usually it's pasteurized as well, because if it's not, the only minor risk from eating raw honey is like young infants or pregnant women is botulism, because that's a spore, right? That's a fungal thing, and bees, normally just they collect it from wherever. So wherever you get botulism from, if the bees go there, that can happen.
Opor saber. It's Opor saber.
You know who that is?
Yeah, well, I do actually know who that is, and well, I don't know who's actually running under that call sign, but I believe I do.
Okay.
So you have to try giving them schnapps. Yeah, I bet schnapps would probably work. Some that's got a lot of sugar.
I was gonna
in
say,
it.
that's alcohol, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That is actually a thing that can happen too. Bees can get drunk, and the other bees will notice that, and they can actually like kick them out of the hive for that. Because
Really?
if that alcohol goes into the nectar, into the honey, that can make the whole hive drunk or like sick and stuff. So, yeah, that'll happen. That's normally what happens to drones. Actually, that get kicked out. They go after the fermenting apples in the fall, and they just go on a bender until they die.
So I'm supposed to know. There's only a couple people that could be using that handle, so I believe it's my friend down in Youngstown who's checking us out.
It's me, fool.
How's it going, H? We'll just say that much there, and that should let you know.
That's good.
Yeah. So no Goldschlager.
No, nothing like that. They do go after sweet stuff, but usually it's like yellow jackets that go after that.
So like
daiquiris.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, really anything, but they prefer nectar. Like as soon as the flowers bloom, if you're feeding them sugar water, they'll stop. They'll ignore it, right?
Right.
Because it's like, it's a good example of this is like, imagine you've been eating one thing for like your entire life, and then suddenly you're given a buffet. You're not going to want to go back to the one thing, right? Like pollen substitutes or sugar, they're very basic, and how can I explain this? It's basically like having a balanced diet is a good thing, right? If you feed the bees only one thing, a lot of people, and there have been studies on this, say that they're missing stuff, and that's why like big plantations of like one type of crop, they'll put beehives in the middle to pollinate them. Those hives won't do so well because there's only one type of pollen, one type of protein, right? But where we live, there's everything. There's lots of stuff. My beehives last year absolutely took off, way more than I thought they would.
Well, not far down the road from us, actually, like probably 2
Yeah.
miles, within 2 miles of your house is actually a big farmer's field.
Yeah.
And he plants nothing but wildflowers there for bees. It's like a bee garden thing
Yeah,
that he
native
does.
beginnings, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, wild native flowers are really, really good for honeybees.
And he gathers the seeds from those flowers every year,
Mhm.
and he replants them in that field. And he does it specifically for getting more bees in the area. I actually would like to get him on the show.
That would be really cool. I would love to talk to him.
I've met him once and talked to him, and it was probably, what was that, 3 years ago when we had a wild emu running around our place.
I remember that. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh! Wow,
it was that year that that I managed to talk to him.
Mhm.
But I have a connection with him through some Amish folks.
Okay,
So
I've never met him. I'd love to talk to
because
him.
he hires like this one Amish family I know to come and gather all the seeds.
Oh,
So from the flowers.
Mhm.
So we'll try and get that in there.
that'd be
So
great.
H, did you watch that Black Powder episode a while back and let me know whether you got that or not. And then we could talk a little bit more about that. Because if you like that one, we got one coming up here. We got a guy next month. We're coming down your way, and I think you're gonna like that.
More away
this
missions.
episode. But,
I'm excited.
yeah.
That was one of the more fun things that I've done lately was the black powder away mission. I just wish I would have gotten the chance to shoot my my black powder pistol. It's still loaded and not capped. I haven't shot it since then.
I just bring it over. We'll shoot it in my backyard.
Yeah, I need to, man. I really do.
No, I didn't. I saw it in the intro. Yeah. Well, we've got something a little bigger than that coming up here pretty soon. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, I'm excited. What do we got here for runtime?
Oh, we're good. We can hang out.
Oh, we're at 40. Okay, yeah, we got a little bit. Yeah,
We're at 40.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, hey, we're going on our
15,
normal
20
thing.
minutes. We'll see.
It's pretty cool though. All them astronauts went up and came back, and
Oh man. Yeah.
and radio guys were involved in tracking the telemetry on that.
Yeah. I saw some videos of that. I think there was a group of radio amateurs in Germany with like a 10-meter satellite dish, like
Yeah.
not the frequency, like the size.
The size,
and they were actually tracking the telemetry. Unfortunately, I understand why it was encrypted because it had like biometric data from the astronauts and like personal emails and stuff. There wasn't anything we could actually receive from that, but you can track the signal strength and stuff. And you could actually see when the capsule would switch to different deep space network antennas, because obviously the Earth rotates, right? And there's like 3 or 4 different large antenna arrays around the planet. You could see it switch data rates because it would go really slow when it was switching, and that's when their bandwidth on their live stream would drop. And then it would switch, it would go back up. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I watched a bunch of it. I didn't get to watch all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I did try and pay as close of attention to it as possible. So, man, we either pulled off the greatest hoax in history or the second greatest achievement of mankind.
I know, right? It's like watching and seeing all the people that are like trying to like, oh, there was this, there was that, there was this, there was that. I saw one person who was comparing on social media. I saw one person who was comparing the video quality of the Artemis mission with like SpaceX launches and stuff.
Yeah.
And the top pinned, or well, it wasn't pinned, but it was the top comment on there was SpaceX is recovered footage, like downloaded high quality footage after they recover the rockets or whatever.
Yeah.
And Artemis was literally streamed while they were going
the
around
entire
the moon.
thing.
Yeah. I thought they were going to shut off the live stream like completely while they were really far out there.
And
No, it was live the whole time.
That's the reason why you can find mice running around in the SpaceX footage on the outsides of the rockets, because they CGI'd that in there afterwards when they downloaded it, and you don't see that going on in the Artemis mission.
I love how that it went from back in the 60s and 70s. It was this really big, really serious thing, bleeding edge of technology, and we got pretty good at it, and then we stopped. And it went from that to space podcast. That's basically what it was.
Yeah, you know what?
They were shooting pictures with iPhones and
they
Nikon
did a whole
cameras.
bunch of cool stuff on this, and
They did.
and it was every bit as now they didn't land,
right?
and they're actually not talking about landing until
2 years.
Yeah. So here's the thing. What the next ship
Artemis 3, right?
So this particular rocket mission was proven technology and not proven technology at the same time.
Yeah, because the first Artemis mission was same type of spacecraft, unmanned, right?
Right. And my understanding is like the heat shielding was different on this one, so they were testing.
it was the same on 1 and 2. It's going to be different on 3.
Yeah. So actually, the next one is going to be an up there, but it's not going to. It's a deployment mission. It's not a manned mission, if I understand what's going on. I mean, it's going to be manned, but it's not going to be a landing mission.
Oh, right, yeah.
So there's going to be a deployment, and then from what I saw, basically NASA and the government have said the first private company to demonstrate that they have a reliable lunar landing module that can meet the requirements will be the rocket.
So they contracted that out.
It's not that they've contracted it out. It's that they've made it it's not a bid, it's a contest.
Oh,
It's like a
okay.
contest. So the first, my understanding is the first company that builds a rocket that can land on the moon, take the car that they want,
Mhm.
take the little nuke thing that they're talking about putting up there. They're
Right.
talking about putting a mini nuke reactor up there.
Yeah.
Which isn't really like a nuke reactor like we have here.
Yeah, they're
It's
different.
really just an atomic battery.
Yeah.
I wish they would quit calling it a nuke reactor, but
Right.
it's like a 10K atomic battery or 40K
Yeah.
40K atomic battery. So, which we should be allowed to have in our homes.
Oh man,
I'll
could you
get-
imagine the amount of like I've heard people talk about that like really strong beta sources because it's just electrons, right?
Right.
Could you imagine the kind of stuff people could get into, like just messing with that, trying to fix it themselves?
Here's the thing: you wouldn't
We
have
can't
to
have
fix
nice
it.
things.
You don't have to fix it. It's just a decay thing that happens,
Yeah.
and it takes place over the course of 30 years or 50
Right.
years. So it's just a battery.
Yeah.
It's just a decaying battery, and it would be the size of like, I think, what did they say the 20 or 30 or 40K one
Mhm.
would be like the size of a 55-gallon drum.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it would probably weigh like 2,000 pounds,
Right.
but because it would have to be protected. But man, I could have a 40K battery sitting
I
in
think
my house.
I think the problem is trusting the general public with that much radioactive material. Because let's be honest here.
Come
once
on, we
it-
trust the public with crack, don't we? I mean, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
Oh, well, I mean, the government doesn't want you to have that either, right?
Right. Well, so they say.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's plenty of other things that are fine. Anyway.
Oh no, it's that's a whole thing, but I know what you mean. Oh, but yeah, I'm excited for the next one for sure.
Can't stop the signal, Mel.
I don't know that one. Rikus might know that one. I don't. Shoot, what was I gonna say? Speaking of radiation, actually, one of the cool science experiments they had going on up there was actually like trying to accurately measure the radiation levels from the Van Allen belt. Because that's
Okay.
what a lot of people that don't believe that this happened, that it was real, they believe, hey, we can get to space, but we can't
But we
pass
can't
the Van Allen
break
belt.
the Van Allen
'cause it's
belt, so
like,
we
you know,
never went to the moon.
It's like
blah,
going
blah,
through
blah,
a
blah,
microwave oven, except, gotta point at the camera, microwaves and radio waves are not ionizing radiation. They do not cause cancer. What does cause cancer is angry charged particles from exploding stars.
Right.
And
Well,
that's
just
what
like,
you're not protected from when you're in space.
Yeah.
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 So
And
that
just
was the
like,
thing.
you could walk through a waterfall and get through on the other side if you have the right protection, you
Yeah.
know. But if it's a boiling hot lava waterfall, you're probably not going to get through
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
But we're not talking about boiling hot lava waterfalls. We're talking about cold water with a cool stream at the bottom.
Yeah, it's like how can I describe it? It's like seeing some of the stuff and like how they orient the spacecraft and how they pack things in there to like shield you, because obviously you understand the way you block radiation is, well, what's the thing? TDS, time, distance, and shielding. Time, roughly 10 days, right? 'Cause they were in space for roughly 10 days.
Right.
Distance, well, the radioactive, like the source is everywhere because it's space, right? And shielding. So the way they orient the spacecraft and what they pack around them, if there was like a solar flare, that was one of the reasons they went when they did, is the sun was fairly low activity, right?
Right.
Yeah, and they had
Which sucked for us amateur
oh, yeah.
radio operators,
It-
by the way.
dude, it's been dead lately. it's been dead, but they actually had.
We like angry suns.
We do, but the people on the ISS really don't. Satellites really don't too. Anyway, they had. I'm starting to lose my voice. Dang it! Now I know how you feel. They had these little things, not this specifically, but this kind of technology. This is my little
It's a
Geiger
Geiger
counter.
counter
Well,
in a pocket.
it's a spectrum analyzer, radioactive. It measures gamma radiation and X-rays, but the practical application of that is they had a bunch of these. I forget what they were made of. It was a special kind of material. They were measuring all these different energies of charged particles to basically accurately map how much radiation they were getting.
Right.
And I forget how much it was. I think it was on the order of, oh, you know what? I'm not even going to say because I'm going to get it wrong. because I read some math from a Reddit comment, and I'm not going to repeat that information.
Oh yeah, don't repeat Reddit
But,
information on our show, man.
but-
That would make us look dumb.
Oh yeah, yeah. But they're home now, and as far as I understand, nobody got cancer from their 10 days in space.
Or even overly radiated.
Yeah, no, like there was a lot, like compared to standing right here, right? But I don't know, like the ISS crew, they're in space for what, 3-6 months at a time. So
Yeah.
yeah, or sometimes longer. Like the last one was what, 9 months because they had some issues there.
But we're looking at keeping I know the end goal of the project by the time we're talking about the next 3 shuttles up there or
Moon bases,
rockets up there. We're talking about, they're saying
dude, it's gonna be
permanent
crazy.
manned mission of 4 to 6 people.
Yeah, it's like the early colonizers of America. Actually, like
Yeah.
you send the ships out and everybody dies except for 1 or 2 people,
and
and
we
then they
needed
come
to
back.
hurry up and do it before China, because people don't understand, like China has a space station up there too. And
Yeah.
it's actually bigger than ours.
No, nobody
Is it
really
bigger
just.
than ours?
I think it is,
big,
but it's newer than ours. Nobody
Yeah.
Nobody really talks about it because they don't even really like.
well, they don't tell nobody,
Yeah,
and they don't talk about it. It's just up there,
Yeah.
and
We gotta
they're
do our
doing their
science
own
too, man.
missions
Come on.
to the moon.
Yeah.
So, well, nobody wanted to work with them.
yeah. Well, yeah.
I guess
It's like,
that's what it was.
we got to do our own science too, and like if we can get along with the Russians in there, because that was always a big thing. Was they were never. I think they tried to do their own space station and it never worked out, so they did their own module on the ISS.
Right.
And we've always had a Russian, Russian two or three people up there
hmm
from the Russian space agency.
Well, they were shuttling our guys up there.
Yeah,
through-
for the longest time. I've never
for the
understood
longest
that
time,
really. Like
but-
it's fine, it's good. I'm glad they were doing it, but I never really understood that.
it was I won't get
Political
into
thing?
that.
I'm sure.
I won't get into that on our show. It doesn't have anything to do with hobbies
Yeah.
or really cool stuff. It just has to do with dumb things on Earth.
I'm gonna hear about this after the cameras turn off. Well, hey,
We're getting there.
What's
All right,
our- what's
so
our
let's,
runtime here?
Let's do this here.
yeah.
Let's do this here. Thank you guys for checking in with us tonight. Should have never gave us baking soda.
I'm pretty
I'm
sure
not
that's
gonna
what
answer
I was
that.
gonna say. Yeah, you probably know what they're talking about there. All right.
All right. So, hey, thanks for checking in tonight. When we hit 100 subscribers, which we're really close to,
Yeah.
somebody's going to win this awesome coffee mug.
Beautiful coffee mug.
Beautiful coffee mug, limited edition. There aren't very many of these left. I gave one of them
Yeah.
away at the
The testing.
testing classes to a kid who listens to us on the radio scanner
Yeah.
every Wednesday night.
That was
so
cool.
that's pretty cool. And then you'll also win this awesome shirt here. Not this one specifically.
Unless
but
you want this one.
unless you want this one, we'll
Yeah.
send it to you. This is Captain's Comic shirt. So you'll win this shirt. Any size, any color, good quality screen printing. And like I say on every show, like, look, nothing's cracked. All the lettering's good.
That's beautiful.
And I do this every week. I wad it up like this and I stuff it in this cup and it holds itself.
I
you
don't
could-
think I've ever seen a better ad for those shirt blanks, man.
Yeah.
Like-
well, not just the blanks, but
The
the
actual
printing
screen
on it
printing,
and everything
yeah.
on it. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. We are going to be up at Captain's Comics for Free Comic Book
That's
Day on May 2nd.
Second, yeah, May 2nd.
So come check us out up there at the corner of 20 and 193.
I'm not Rikus, but I'll still be there probably.
Yeah, we're going to have a demo radio station set up there for people who want to check us out. We'll have some literature. And, of course, they'll be giving away free comic books.
Yeah.
And I believe they're going to have
Some comic authors there.
Dr. Dan. No, Dr. Ben,
Yeah, Dr. Ben. I was,
who's
wow, it
a
was
comic
great.
book artist guy, a comic book creator.
Yep.
And Dan Dewing.
Yep.
Both of those are going to come up and do comic book signings. And they're both have pretty cool comic books.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
check them out on their respective pages.
Is there anything else?
I don't know what else? I can't remember.
Normally, Rikus says some stuff like specific to him, but I'm not Rikus, and I don't have anything interesting to report about my stuff. You heard about my hobbies, my bees.
Right.
They're
Well,
doing
that's
bee
what we
things.
came in to talk about was your hobbies today. All right. Well, thanks again, guys. Like, share, subscribe.
Yep.
Do all that cool
Please leave a
algorithm
comment.
stuff.
I'll read the comments if people leave them.
Yeah. And Hobby on.
I'll be on. now.
Now he's got to walk over
Yep,
and
now I
end
get
the
up from my
stream.
seat.